Hello, and welcome to Women with Vision and Purpose presents Becoming the Woman of Your Dream podcast. My name is Shakita Davis, visionary here out of Houston, Texas. And this month we are focusing on Black Business Month and representing and honoring Black women in business. And today I have our special guest, Miss Pamela Carnes, who is here in Houston, but she is from Jacksonville, Florida. I will let her introduce herself and just let us know who she is, where she is, and just all about Miss Pamela Carnes. Miss Carnes, how you doing, ma'am?
Hey, I'm doing well, Miss Davis. How are you?
Good. Welcome to the podcast, finally.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I've heard a lot about this, and you have a wonderful podcast that shows often weekly, in fact, and you're always honoring other people. So it's an honor to be on here with you today.
Yes, no, I appreciate you taking time out, and I'm really excited about the interview. I just want to throw my note cards out because I've known you for a while, and we know each other on a personal and professional level. So it is an honor to have you on the podcast. So let our viewers know, who is Pamela Carnes, wife, mom, multi-business owner. How do you juggle it all?
Well, sometimes it feels like I don't juggle it very well. But to just be very candid, yeah, Pam Carnes and I came here to Houston, Texas from California about 5 years ago, but was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida, and went off to college right after that to South Carolina State University, and graduated with an accounting degree and experienced phenomenal success in a corporate career with General Electric, and then decided at some point I wanted to do something different. After moving around the country 9 different times, relocating, pursuing power and prestige and money, quite frankly, I decided that I was doing something that really was not beneficial to my family long term. Now, obviously, I was making decent income, pretty good income as a CFO, but I can tell you that I was building somebody else's dream. And so I just decided to do something different with my time.
Awesome. That was amazing. Yes. And you know what? I want you to share just a little information on your journey to CFO. And I know in your bio, you shared that you went through extensive training and ran a multi-million company. And just explain, how was that, seeing those numbers and knowing that, hey, I want to have those numbers one day for my business.
Yeah, I've always loved numbers. That's been a passion of mine for a very long time. So I knew early on that I wanted to be in this particular industry, but I thought I wanted to be a CPA because that's the only thing that I knew as a kid to associate numbers with. I knew right away I didn't want to be a teacher. That much I knew because there are other requirements, like dealing with other people's children, and I didn't want to do that part. But I knew I wanted to deal with numbers, and I learned quickly after becoming a employee with General Electric that they had a large conglomerate that most people were unaware of all of the different businesses that were a part of that company. And they gave me my foundation. I started out on the financial management program. It was a 2.5 year program where we were basically being trained about the finances of General Electric. So every 6 months you change jobs. And so I got used to that. I was like, oh, I like this. So you go in, you learn, you make an impact, and you leave. So it actually was a great foundation for learning finance from a big corporation perspective. And then when I got off of the financial management program, I had a choice. And my choice was either to go on the corporate audit staff or to take an off-program job. And I was married at the time for the first time. I got married at 22 years old all those years ago. And at that time, I was like, I don't really want to be separated from my then husband. And so I decided to do the off-program route, which meant that I needed to decide that I was going to change jobs every 18 months to 24 months. That also meant that I was going to likely have to relocate physically. And so that's why I moved around the country 9 different times as I was pursuing the corporate ladder. I was able to get to a place, though, Ms. Davis, where I realized about 5 to 6 years into my corporate career that I was on a trajectory that was going to allow me to make a lot of money. And it was because primarily of that program. And then I went into a secondary program, which was for experienced financial leaders. And so it was setting me up for success within GE, not necessarily outside of GE, but definitely within GE. And I can remember sharing information with my mom at the time, talking with her about my income and about how excited I was. And it was around my third or fourth year of working with a company where I had hit about $42,000 a year. And I told her, and she said, "What?" She was surprised. She said, "You make more money now after 4 years of working than I have made in 25, 30 years of my life."
Wow.
My mom wasn't making over $40,000 in her lifetime at that time. And that quickly became a reality for me. And so, these questions are kind of bringing up some old feelings, because I remember thinking when I was in college that I wanted to make as much money per year as I was old. That was my goal, because I didn't know any better. I literally thought, well, when I'm 25, I want to make at least 25,000. And when I'm 30, I want to make at least 30,000. So a whole $1,000 raise per year is what my initial goal was. And man, when I got out of college and I was first offered 27,500 and I was 22 years old, I said, "Oh, I need to do some new math." This is not, that's wrong math. So I knew, because of my selection of companies, because of the aggressiveness of their programs, and because I was willing to put the work in, that I could accomplish really good income there. And so by my 9.5 years of being with that company, I hit six figures. And
Amazing.
Yes, I'd stopped telling my mom my salary back at about 60,000, not because she wasn't happy for me, but because I felt bad. And I was like, no. And of course she wanted me to do better than she had done in lifetime. Right. But when she said it, it penetrated my soul. And I was just like, okay, just don't say it anymore. Just keep going after whatever you want. Be okay with it. She knows. Of course, I told her when I hit six figures, but I didn't tell her about the second six figures. So I just thought, nah, that's a little too much information.
Well, congratulations. And you know what? I know she was very proud of you.
Yes.
Very proud for you to do that and go maybe even beyond of what she may have imagined, for you as well. That's very good.
Yeah, it was. GE gave me an opportunity to learn a lot about corporate finance, to learn a ton about, dealing with people at all different levels. And I was having a great opportunity to be able to, I talked to the CEO the same way I talked to the janitor. And for me, that was important because, God is a no respecter person, right? So I felt like, you put your pants on the same way I put mine on. And
Absolutely.
so when we would have conversations, or I would be in different meetings, and I had a lot of different opportunities leading up to that CFO role, I was initially involved with a lot of diversity concerns in that time. And I was a part of a couple of diversity initiatives, in fact, where they wanted to know, what's it like working as a minority in corporate America? This is way back in the 90s when diversity was a big deal. And then what is it like working as a woman in corporate America? Even had people ask me questions like, so which one is better? I'm like, what do you mean which one is better? So, well, you are a woman and you're also a Black woman. So which one is better? And then asked me, I remember this, his name was Dave. I won't say his last name. He asked me, so is it best to work in the North or in the South? And I was in the South at the moment, only to share the information that we had collectively put together. But I was working in the North, one of the locations in the North with GE. And I looked at him, and the room was full of people. Most of them didn't look like me. And I said, well, I can say this much, Dave, that in the South, I know where I stand because you guys are more open with how you feel. In the North, I have to figure out who I'm talking to because you're not candid. So for me, I'm good being who I am wherever I am. I just have to pay attention to who I'm around.
Great answer.
Yeah, at 24 years old, right?
Okay, look,
I said,
drop the mic.
let me see how I can fix this at 24. Because what I wanted to say outside of that environment would have been very different than my corporate response, right? So, yeah. So I've been dealing with, being a Black professional female for a very long time, and happy to be a part of this podcast as well. But saddened a little bit that we still have to talk about it.
You know what? Let me be real honest with you. So, Women with Vision Network is predominantly Black women, but we cater to all women.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got the tug from God to do, hey, highlight Black Business Month and highlight Black women in business, like, but we're not all Black. Yeah, we know that. You know that. The people that follow you know that. But let's give Black women, including myself, our flowers now, giving us the highlight, the recognition to let us know that, hey, we are here as well. And
Yes.
then just kind of also market and just let people know who's out here. So it wasn't easy for me to do Black Business Month because I never want anyone to think that I am just focused on Black because I'm Black. No, Women with Vision and Purpose is focused on all nationalities. But this
Mm-hmm.
month, we are focused on Black business and Black women in business.
I love it. I love it. And it's necessary. My comment about saddened that we have to still talk about this because of the economy, because of the people around us. But it's necessary for us to do it. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. See, I get that word from you. Absolutely. I just didn't realize it till just now. I was like, absolutely. We say at the same time. I don't know if you caught it or not.
Right. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So moving on. Thank you for sharing that information, and thank you for just going a little deeper because I'm pretty sure there's women out there who are Black, young, and fighting going up the ladder in corporate America, and may need to hear information. You may have given them a response to how they could deal with other individuals that they come across who may look at them for being a Black woman in corporate America.
Absolutely.
So kudos. Yes. So you know what? We're gonna go to Carnes Business Solution Groups. Now, before you answer, because I highlighted on my notes here, and I want to read it.
Okay.
Because Carnes Business Solution Groups focus on profitability, productivity, and peace of mind for your clients. Explain to us what is Carnes Business Solution Group and who are you looking to assist?
Yeah. Thank you so much. So 20 years in GE, and then about 5 to 8 years in business development, created, I think, a very awesome platform for me to help individuals and families and business owners with the skill sets that I gained from those two industries, right? So I had an opportunity after being laid off, quite frankly. So in November 2017, I was laid off. And I was in a business development role at the time, running a large group of people for a big county in California, in Alameda County. And I thought, well, what am I going to do with this? And so I quickly captured my first client, and I wasn't even trying to. And what happened is I started talking with him. I went to him to say, hey, can you show me how to monetize my cakes? Because I do cakes too. She say multi-business is true. So
cakes are delicious, by the way.
And so I went to my friend Gregory and I said, Greg, he had been in business, a bakery for about 16 years at the time. And I asked him to teach me to monetize the cake. I mean, I know finance, right? But I didn't know baking, not from that end. And as we began to have a conversation about my background, he didn't realize after all the years, literally at that point, about 10 years, that we had been buying peach cobblers and cookies and all kind of goodies from his bakery. We never really talked about the work that I did. And so when he found out what my background was, and as my GE colleagues would say, my pedigree, when he found that out, he said, wait, I need you to help me run my business. And I said, wow, okay. And so we struck up a great relationship where I could go in and bake and learn from him. And then I became his consultant. And so that was the start of Carnes Business Solutions Group. And then it just continued and grew from there. And my goal, my motivation is to make sure that businesses have the resources that they need. And one of the resources I know that they normally don't have as a small business is someone who can protect their assets from a financial perspective, right? And so there's so many different reasons that they need financing, that they need to, look at business plans, that they need to even start their businesses and create them, or that they need to make sure they have legal services in place for them, that they need to make sure that they, are growing their businesses outside of just the traditional smaller piece when they initially start. That's where I come in. And so I've taken the big company, big corporation, GE experience, the business development experience, and I've rolled that into Carnes Business Solutions Group. And you can go there and find all of the different types of services that are provided, but they're intended to make sure that our business owners have the resources that they need that they otherwise would not be able to afford. And when I think of my own background and services, a lot of times, and you might relate to this, a lot of times business owners, they start with a business because they love that actual skill. They have that skill and they love it and they have a great craft and they want to, do this thing as a business. And then they quickly realize they don't know how to run a business, right?
Yes,
So they might know how to lay some carpet or remodel a bathroom, but they don't know how to source the product so that they get the best pricing. They don't know how to do their financials so that a bank would actually give them a loan, right? They don't know how to manage their business. And so that's where I come in. And instead of them trying to hire me at a couple of $100,000, which is not practical, right? They can actually buy portions of my time as a consultant. And that way we strike up a deal that they can afford, and then I can still help them have the success that they deserve.
absolutely. You know what? And that's very true, because we start a business, mostly small business owners or individuals who start a business behind a passion. It's just a passion. And then you realize, guilty, that your passion is not being monetized.
Right.
You are doing a lot of work, but you're not seeing a lot of return. And you have to figure out, okay, why do I feel like I'm doing so much, but the bank account says the opposite? So
Right.
so that is very great information. And if anyone who is struggling or looking to start a business, please contact Ms. Carnes for a consultation. So she give you a step-by-step guide on how to make sure you are properly structured and monetizing your business and sustaining your business at that.
Mm-hmm.
We can start a business, but anyone can start a business, but can you sustain your business?
Right. And I start with a needs analysis, right? Because you can't just walk into a company and just give them a prescription. You really do need to understand what their pain points are and what they need. And so if I have a solution for that, great. If I don't, I typically have a referral partner that I can send them to, because I've contended that I'm not going to try to do it all, right? There are a lot of different things, even that I promote on my website, that I just have access to it. I'm not going to be the person to do it, but I've partnered up with several people that can provide those services. So I've created a one-stop shop. And you said a word that I wrote down when you said it: return. See, most people don't think about the return on their investment. What they think about is, how much is that costing me? No, you got to think about the return on your investment. Because if I invest $100 and I can make 1,000, that's a pretty good return.
Absolutely.
If I invest $5,000 and I can make 20,000, that's still a really good return. But sometimes we get so focused on how much is that costing me, we forget to think about how much return am I going to get on that investment. It's
I'm getting chills. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and a young lady, and I'm always listening to different podcasts just to see what's going on, just to see, make sure I'm even in a realm of what's going on as well. But the young lady was like, she cut off Netflix and didn't watch TV for a whole year because she didn't want to pay for her subscription, but she wanted to invest in her business, and she knew how much she needed to start her business and to keep it going, and she made the necessary changes. A lot of us think about, like you said, how much is it going to cost me? You can't afford not to not do it.
Right.
You have to pay for something, and it takes money to make money.
Yeah. Yeah. Yours or somebody else's, whoever. Whoever, but it
Yes,
takes money. It can be somebody else's money. I call
that's
OPM,
right.
other people's
That's
money,
right.
right?
That's
It can
right.
be that or it can be yours, but it's still going to take it. And it's going to
You
take
know,
time and it's going to take work. And that's another thing that I
absolutely.
know a lot of people are short on for whatever reasons. They want something for nothing. I don't understand that. My parents taught me an exceptional work ethic. And so to sometimes to a detriment, right? They call that workaholic. Yeah, that's me.
Hmm.
But I figured
And
out that I wanted to work and be a workaholic for myself and not for someone else, which is what I did for the first 25 years, right? You made another comment, and it's price over priority for a lot of people. They're like, well, I can't afford that. Really? Or is it just not a priority for you?
that's right. That's right. And it's how bad do you want it? And that's what I had to. Now, Miss Carnes, we could go off the deep end.
I know.
We can really go off the deep end.
We get
And
into
y'all,
some of our Sunday night conversations. Yeah.
this is what we do. And Miss Carnes said something prior to us getting on screen here. She was like, you know what? This should be just a conversation that we have an hour that we have every 3 months. I said, guess what? It will be, but we'll just have viewers this time. So when Miss Carnes and I talk, we really talk and we have deep conversation, and it's just liberating. And you
Mm,
know what? I wanted to say in regards to, I lost my train of thought, but in regards to other people's money, like there are plenty of ways where you can make money off other people's money.
mm-hmm,
But it takes time, it takes research, and honestly, it's just being connected to the right individuals
mm-hmm,
and
mm.
having an open mind. And before I go there, Miss Carnes, because I know you're real passionate, so I see it, it's coming out. We're gonna save we're gonna save it. We're gonna save it. So I want you to share with us your mission to empower. And I know you have a mission to empower individuals and business owners while helping them save time and money. In regards to that, we can go ahead and shift to what is it that you do full time now alongside of your Carnes Business Solution Groups, and talk about how you became regional manager of the Houston market for a company called Legal Shield that's been around 51 years.
Yeah.
Explain to us, you started, and because I know this information, you started as a member,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're now a regional manager of the Houston market.
Yeah.
Explain to us, what was that? What has that done for you, or what is it doing for you?
Well, I will say this. When I started as a member 18 years ago, so I want people to know that this is not like just an overnight kind of situation for me, right? I've been a member for 18 years. And what that means is that I've been saving a lot of time and money, as my mission says. It was 5 years later when I actually looked at the business model. And I realized I was sharing this service with people for free for 5 years. But you got to know that you have to really be in a place where you're ready to receive an opportunity, right? And I wasn't mentally ready for that. I had done some other things on the side while I was working in corporate America, but I am a workaholic. I give 110% in whatever I'm doing. And so when I was in that environment, I was focused on that environment. But at some point, I started saying, I need to do something different. And so I dabbled here and there in different projects, if you will, that would kind of turn a profit for just a specific project. But by the time I became a member for 5 years of Legal Shield, my whole perspective changed. And at that point, I was looking for something different. In fact, I'll tell you, I just had a conversation with a really good friend of mine. We grew up together right across the street from each other, both, Black females, and had been out of college for several years at that point. And I said, we would land across the bed like we used to do when we were 16. And we were just talking about the fact that we were too smart to work this hard for somebody else.
I know that's right.
That was our whole conversation. Like for 2 hours, we just like, we need to do something different, right? So you get to that place of needing to do something different, then your mindset is
Right.
open. It's just like an umbrella. It doesn't do you any good unless it's open, right?
That's right.
So now my mindset was open and I was looking for a way to do something different. And when I saw the opportunity, it just made sense. What the service had already done for my husband and I, we had already saved thousands of dollars within the first 5 years of having the membership. Car warranty issue, saved $2,500. Had to get some paperwork signed for my kid to go out to a football camp. Didn't have to worry about was it legit or not, because I had the services available to review those documents. So it was just so many different ways that we had already benefited, preparing our will documents, right? And we are a blended family. And I know I'm talking to a lot of blended families out here. We are a blended family with 5 children. So his 1, my 2, and then our 2 together. And so when you get into that kind of situation, you need something to protect yourself. And I found that Legal Shield does that with access to legal services and identity theft protection. But when I saw the business model, I said, wow, this just makes sense. So I started it, Ms. Davis, just very part-time, made an extra $1,200 in my first 30 days. And I thought, okay, well, I was doing it for free. So an extra $1,200 in 30 days is good. And I played around with it, quite frankly, to fast forward this conversation, because, I'll go on and on about this part. But I played around with it for about 9 years, but I never got out. Because I knew the value of the service. And I knew that at one point I would actually turn it on. And so in November of 2019, I was listening to a conference call, and they were celebrating some folks for making different accomplishments. And my husband and I moved from the Bay Area in California to Texas in 2018. So this is about a year and a few months later. And so I'm listening and I'm thinking, man, I said, that's so good that, that person got that kind of, increase or that promotion and that accolade. And I just said, well, what's the difference? Like, I know I'm smart, so listen, you got to know who you are, right? And sometimes as business owners and just as women, we downplay our value. We downplay how much we know and what we can do. And not to be arrogant, not to even encourage people to be arrogant, but to be confident, right?
That's right.
I knew, I kept saying, man, what's the difference in that person and me? Now, my husband's standing there in the kitchen, and you got to know him because he is a straight shooter. Now, I'm a straight shooter, but he is a sharp, straight shooter, right? And so he says, what do you mean? I said, well, I just don't understand. And I said, they obviously are doing really well. He said, wait, they're working the business and you're not. I said, oh, it was painful. I was like, I got a white scar. I mean, that's so cruel of you to say it that way. But he's like, what? He really didn't mean it in any other way other than I'm just telling you the truth. And then he said some words to me that changed how I see this opportunity. He said, I have never seen you say that you're going to do something that you did not do. Mm. So sometimes we have to be reminded.
He shot you again.
He did. But that one felt a little bit more like love. That other one was like, ooh. You have to be so cruel, my God. But no, seriously, sometimes we have to be reminded. And, I had said for years of, what I was going to do here and there. But every time I would get back into a traditional corporate job, I would give it everything I had. And I would put this on the side. Sometimes so far on the side that I didn't even see it. Right. Mm. And so I just know that in November of 2019, I decided to get serious. And the next 3.5 years up to now have been phenomenal to earn over $100,000 in the last 3 years in this business. And I'm just getting started, as another stream of income. Right.
Absolutely.
So it's just when you decide and then you commit and then you go launch that part of whatever you committed to, things change and they happen for you. So at that time, I wasn't even really involved in Houston. But I began to be involved. I began to serve. And it's something about leadership. Leadership is serving, right? So I began to serve. And as I begin to serve, just as I had in other areas of my life, um, I won't say it just happened. It happened because I began to serve.
That's
Right.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. And you know what? I'm itching over here because when we first initially met, and I have to say, being brought into the business and being under your coaching, I've been in other projects since the age of 18. I am now 33. I think I started with you all 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And I have
August.
never,
Mm-hmm.
never made as much money as fast as I did ever out of the 15, 16 years I've been in other projects. And knowing, you know what, yes, the money was good, but I didn't even know about the service until I met you. And I was like, that even exists. So I was just sharing information with others, just because that's what I was informed to do. And you being alongside helped me through the ranking. And I'll never forget it. I was able to take my daughter to Orlando. No, I'm sorry. We went to California
Mm-hmm.
for her 10th birthday, all expense paid through Legal Shield, rent a
Mm.
car, hotel, food, the Airbnb, and then I got paid that week. I didn't even have to touch my check because we were still using the money that I've made through the company.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited, and I know you're gonna do great things. And again, I'm happy to be a part of your team. And if you all are itching and want to know exactly what it is, make sure you get connected with us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing what it does. It's more than just the money, right? People
Mm-hmm.
join us because they think they want to make extra income around what they're doing, or they join us because they love the mission of what we serve. Like
Yes,
our goal
perfect.
as a company is to make sure everyone has equal access to their rights. Because you don't have any rights if you don't know what they are. Okay.
That's
And
right.
so that's our goal, is to make sure that our business owners don't have to try to figure out business solutions and situations on their own by themselves, right? To make sure that families don't leave here without making sure they have their wills done or getting the assistance that they need. Listen, when I bought this house that I'm sitting in right now in Spring, Texas, we had the attorneys to review the contract and documents, found an error in the documents that saved us 0.25% on our mortgage rate. So when I tell you we've saved thousands of dollars, like on a regular basis, I'm on the phone with an attorney once or twice a month because I can be. And I don't have to break my bank, right? I don't even have to look at my bank in order to make that phone call. So that part is so huge. But people join us for one reason and stay for a totally different reason, and it's the relationships that are formed, right? It's me being able to watch you as you were taking those pictures in California, saying, hey, look at me, Miss Carnes, and seeing your daughter's face, knowing that that was a part of something that I helped you to do, not because again of anything other than we are serving. And so when we get to serve particularly our women and help them change their life that way,
That's right.
what I do know is that no matter what else I do, I will always be doing Legal Shield for sure.
That I know,
Yeah.
and the whole world knows that. And as I was listening to you and just thinking, I just keep hearing mad, get mad. And I heard different variations of it. One is make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
But then just now it just sunk in, make a difference.
Yes.
Make a difference. And when
Yes.
you make a difference in individual lives, trust me, it's going to come back. And when I say make a difference, a positive difference. Let me make sure I be very clear about that. Make a
Yeah.
positive difference in the world, in other people's lives, and then use your gifts. And just know that God's gonna make room for you. He's gonna get you to where you need to be. He's gonna make sure that you meet that person at the traffic light or at the coffee shop. But you have to be aligned, and you have to have faith. And faith without work is dead.
Yeah.
You
Mm.
know what? I was listening TikTok. TikTok has a lot of great things on it. And one of the guys showed, he was like, you either could be in motion or you could, be progressing.
Mm-hmm.
In motion means you're just moving in place. But are you moving forward?
Mm.
What are you doing to move forward? And being on this podcast has really just opened up myself, and just being open and speaking and interviewing the women has just been like mind blowing to me, because I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna be behind the scenes. They don't need to hear from me, they don't need to see me. I could just hide behind my graphics. But I'm like, no, people like, we need to see you, Shakita. We need to hear you. You have a lot to say. And like you said, being confident in who you are, and believing in who you are and whose you are.
Yeah, that's so true. And you have a lot to say. We know that. I'm so glad that they pushed you out here to do this podcast, because I've seen in the 3 years, right, that we've known each other, a different Shakita. And we have an opportunity on a regular basis to kind of revisit all of that. And so, like, you're from an age perspective, you're like my daughter's age, really. And so it gives me great pleasure, because as your own kids don't listen to you. So
So you gotta find some other kids that do.
yeah, you got to use third party. You got to use third party. So they listen to other people. But just being able to be a factor in somebody else's life is important. And a lot of times we take that for granted. Like, I don't know. I'll give you an example. I was having a conversation with someone that I went to college with many years ago. And because of Facebook, we were reconnected. And they started talking about experiences that we had when we were in college. And it was making me laugh, because it was a sorority and they were pledges, and I was the dean of pledges at the time. And they were just saying these things that I kept saying, that was not true. That was, they were like, no, we were scared of you, Miss Carnes. We were scared
Oh
of you. And
wow.
I was like, why were you afraid of me? And one of the young women said, it wasn't a fear, it was a reverence, because you demanded excellence from us. And that it gave me chill bumps, just like it's doing right now. They were like, you demanded excellence from us. And I was like, I was 21 years old. What are you talking about? But some things are innately in you,
That's
like
right.
you have things innately in you, Shakita Davis, that you have to share with the world. So don't ever try to squash what God has given you, because it's going to bless somebody else. I can think of a lot of different experiences in my own life that for many reasons I didn't share them with most people, and some with my closest family, like my sisters. I didn't even share some stuff with them, because I didn't want to negatively impact their perception of me. But what I realized later is that it wasn't for me anyway. It was for
Right.
somebody else. So when
That's
I
true.
started sharing some of those stories, I realized, man, God really had me go through that test to create the testimony that can bless somebody else's life. And it
That's
wasn't
right.
for me from the start, right?
Yes. And you know what? And I shared this with a young lady the other day. And actually not the other day, today. Actually, God has a way of just working and working. And anytime I meet someone and we just mesh right then and there, I know it's a God given moment,
Yeah.
and I take advantage of it, because I don't know if I'm going to see that individual again. And there's something, even with talking to somebody I talk to every day, but sometimes you just know, and you know that you have to give them what God has given you to give them. And a young lady was just going through so much, been through a lot for X amount of years. And she's like,
Mhm.
I keep crying out, why? Why me? Why me? Why me? Why? Why? And like she was, just crying, why me? And before I can even mustered up something, she was like, I talked with God, and he was like, go try my servant Job. And after that, it was history. We had church, and I had to and I had to hurry up and get up out the room.
And
But
that
we go,
happens. You remember
yes,
we were on the phone with someone the other day, and she shared a very intimate loss of hers. And I mean, we started to talk business, and we end up
right.
talking life, and
Yes.
really breathing life into people. I had another opportunity recently last week, and was on with on a Zoom presentation with someone, and he just began to share that he wanted to be a part of the team because of the
Mhm.
person who was inviting him. But his biggest reason was because he 90 days ago found Christ, right?
Wow.
And he said, I have been through so many different things in my life. I almost lost my family because of drugs, alcohol, and bad decisions. He said, but about 90 days ago, I finally found Christ, and he's completely changed the way I see everything. Well, that's all I needed. Let me tell you, that conversation started 11 o'clock at night because he was clear across the country, and didn't end until almost 1 or after 1 o'clock a.m.
Wow.
Central Time, because the four people that were on the call were in different time zones. And so that's the benefit of what we get to do as business owners. We get to decide when we work. Now, if I want to cut out and go to the movies in the middle of the day, I do that. But if I want to hang on the phone at 11 o'clock at night because I'm helping somebody else find peace, I do that, right? Now, his wife was on that phone call, and when she got on, she was skeptical. But somewhere in the midst of that conversation, she said, listen, I'm still trying to figure out this legal shield thing. She said, but what I do know is that God has ordained this relationship. She said, Miss Pam Carnes, because of you, we definitely are joining the team. And I know that what they're offering is going to benefit us. But I'm joining because I 100% believe that God has ordained this relationship. I said, are you guys just trying to make me cry at 12:30 in the morning? Like, I'm
But you never know. You never know. And having a keen spirit to those situations, and knowing that, hey, because you're passionate. You're passionate about the movement. You're passionate about helping other individuals. You're passionate about getting us to our goals. And you just carry a different persona than someone who is just trying to, hey, come here, I need you on my team. So when others do connect with you, we connect to you in real life.
Yeah, because I'm all in your business by the time we get off the phone.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. You got me fanning. Yes, she is.
I'm all in your business, okay? But with love, because I know through my own experiences over the years, I've had so many spiritual mothers, and it took me a minute to really embrace that. Like when I would meet people and they started calling me Mama Pam, right? And I was like, because I think I look real young, right? So I'm like, don't call me Mama Pam. Don't call me Mama Pam. I'm not old enough to be your mama. Well, I'm older than their mother, then I'm probably old enough to be their mom, right? So I've had that situation happen several times. But then at one point I was having this conversation with my husband again. And I said, I just remember moving from state to state because I moved 9 times. And out of those moves, I ended up with 4 solid spiritual mothers in different regions in this country. And to this day, I have a relationship with all of them. And I've only lost one of them actually just in March of this year. But and in addition to my mom, who was my rock, I'm like, man, I've been blessed to have so many women pour into me. And I said, God, I guess you're telling me it's my time. It's my turn even.
There you go.
It's my turn to do it with somebody else. We're supposed to, as older women, we're supposed to lead the younger women, teach them, train them, right? So it's just my turn. And I'll be 56 years old in September. Can't believe I just said that on this podcast.
Don't look it. You don't look it. You don't look it.
But I will be 56 if God says the same on September 17th. And so I'm like, well, you got more years behind you than you have before you. So you probably ought to go ahead and give to others what you have been blessed to receive, from your spiritual moms and from people who have connected with you. And so I'm now at the place where I'm completely embracing it, although we're going to have some fun while we're doing it, right?
That's right. Speaking of fun, you were talking earlier, and I wanted to share this just because I was doing a launch maybe 2 weeks ago with one of my new business partners, and we were on the phone, and most of the women I think were married, or a few of them were married, and me being single, I was like, how most wives say, I have to ask my husband, or let me talk to my husband. My favorite line is, let me find out from my lawyer. Let me contact my lawyer. let me call my lawyer. So, I love it. And I just thank you for holding my hand. Even when I may have dropped yours, you have held mine and still there. And just knowing the bigger outcome of this and knowing that we're going to make a difference. And I'm
Yeah.
super excited about this podcast on tonight. I'm super excited about the content we have created. And like you said, to look back to see where we started and then how
Mhm.
far we're going to go, because we are going to be back on this scene again,
Yes.
in a different platform, maybe a different city. You know, I mean, who knows? I know the things that he's shown me, but I'm just saying. So I'm super excited,
Okay.
and I want you to share with us, how can others connect with you online?
Perfect. So there are a couple of different ways. You can actually just go to PamelaCarnes.com, and that'll take you to the Legal Shield business side that I absolutely love, PamelaCarnes.com. But you can go to CarnesBSG.com as well, and you'll see all of the different services that we offer to our business community.
Awesome. And then also, what future events do you have coming up that you want others to be aware of?
Perfect. So we just had an event this past weekend with $1 million a year income earner in our company. So we do this typically about once a month. We come together so that we can create the community, right? Because that's where really people begin to know each other, love each other, work together more effectively. On September 9th, though, is our next regional event. Here in the city of Houston, we have 6.6 million people in Houston and surrounding areas. So there's a lot of opportunity for all of these businesses to thrive. So we have a networking event that's happening on September 9th in Houston at the Hyatt Regency Hotel near Imperial Valley off of the Beltway. The details will be to follow. We'll make sure that we get those out there. But please look for that, because we'd love to have you come out and just share your business with us. Share with us what you're doing and how you're serving, and we'll share with you how you can perhaps learn more about the companies that we represent as well.
That's right. Because you know what? Your network
Is your
increases your net worth.
net worth. Absolutely.
Yes. Oh, awesome. Ms.
Yes.
Carnes, thank you so much for taking time to be on the podcast. Now you have shared some valuable information. Thank you for opening up in regards to your journey to CFO. I think that kind of stuck with me most, in regards to just a lot of personal things as well. Just, striving for excellence and trying to get to that place, but just being humble in regards to everything and just coming back and sharing knowledge with us who need it.
Thank you so much. I certainly have enjoyed this. Enjoyed this
Yay.
because I'm oftentimes doing it off of podcasts, right? Just having conversations. Like you said, you and I will spend an hour and a half on the phone, just exchanging information, and really iron sharpens iron. And
Exactly. Pouring into
iron
one another.
iron doesn't have to be in the same age group. It has to do with your experiences. And so I have always enjoyed having those kind of conversations with you. And so, nope, you can't get rid of me, because that's just, God put us together, so you don't have a choice. But
It's that.
this has been a lot of fun. This has been a
Yes.
different
Awesome.
platform. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I do want to do a quick shout out to my church, Anointed Faith Family Church. You guys don't have a church home, we want you to come on up to Tomball. It's right off of Spring Cypress and Corville Huffsmith Road. So although it has a Tomball address, it's really in Spring. That's what I say. Okay. So make sure you come on
Yes.
out there and enjoy. That's where, and another, just another facet of my
And I
life.
was gonna say, send my love to Pastor Brenda and Pastor
I
Roger over
will.
there
I'm
for
about
me,
to talk
okay?
to her in about 15 minutes, actually. I'm about to talk to her in
Yes.
about 15 minutes. But our mission at our church is that we make God clear and visible to the world. Now, who can latch onto that? That's awesome. All right. We're making
No,
God clear and
amazing.
visible to the world. I appreciate you, Miss Davis.
Yes, I appreciate you, Ms. Carnes. Thank you. Until next time. And then, you all will be seeing a lot more Ms. Carnes on the platform, just because we do work side by side and just have a lot of things to share and to help you all. So make sure you all stay tuned for next week, which will be our last episode for Black Business Month, where we are honoring women with vision and purpose, and we're honoring women in business, Black women in business. So stay tuned. Visit us online at www.vp.online and also social media, Women with Vision and Purpose. Have a great night. Until next time.